So this is 3D Max. If you watch the tutorials, they do this exhaustive explanation of stuff. Effectively, they don't really have a good layering system. I don't even know I've ever even used a layer, but they have all your objects are labeled over here. So this is kind of your layer navigation. This is kind of like, it's like flipped from Rhino. This is kind of the primitives. All these tabs open up different things. I'm not going to. And then when you're on shapes, all of these open up different things as well. So I'm going to give you one demonstration, and between now and then, watch tutorials. But also, I want you to just do one 100 frame animation. It's so simple. I can do it in 15 minutes. You guys can do it in an hour. It's just to start doing stuff. The basics of 3D Max is all about the keyframe. So this down here is your keyframe. And you'll see it has an adorable little key. So this is what you're looking for every time you want to animate something. So I'm going to, and this I think you guys can do as well, I'm just going to use some primitives to demonstrate animations. They have this teapot. It's kind of a standard. I don't really get it, but it's always around. Then they have cones, planes, pyramids, boxes. But I think if you just sort of make it your goal to animate some objects for Thursday, then that will be a great goal. So once you've grabbed a primitive from your primitive object, you can proceed to animate it to move anything. All you have to do is use this precious frame. How many frames per second is in a standard video sequence? Between 24 and 48. I usually go for 26 because that's an automatic After Effects import. To my discovery this weekend when I was doing a GIF, that's standard 5 to 15. Who knew? Now I know. So it's really just doing math in your head. If you have 100 frames down here, you're going to get about a 4-second video, which, you know, it's something. It's great. So there's a lot of shortcuts that you'll learn along the way, but the most important one is Alt-W. So you know how in Rhino you just click up in the left-hand corner for your windows to change? That's not really how this works. You hit Alt-W and you get your quad. And then whichever one you're clicked in, Alt-W again. So this is a very important shortcut. It will save you so much time. Everything else is sort of like negotiable. This is a very clicky software. It's not shortcut software as much. So the next thing you want to learn how to do just to animate are your sort of transform tools. And those are right here. So moving, there's shortcuts to these too, and you'll find them over time. But select in uniform scale, so you can scale things. You can rotate things. And you can move things. So I think you guys can easily do all those things. But now what we want to do is create an animation. So we want to actually capture and visualize this movement happening. And I will show you this. This is actually, well, when I was learning this software, my teachers would not advise us to use it, but it's very handy for like dirty and quick animations, is the auto. And once you turn this on, it just like records what you're doing. It's really, once this is all red, like you're live essentially. It's like the camera is on. So based on where you are located in this timeline, it is going to translate this object. And the easiest way to do that is demonstrate. I'm at 0, 100. I'm going to move over to 20 and move this object. I'm going to move over to 35, and I am going to rotate this object. I am going to move over to 55, and I am going to scale. Why not? In one direction. And then I'm going to move to 85 and scale. Wait, I want to scale in another direction. It up again. And then and scale it back down. So once you're done, you click Auto. And you can sort of watch your thing do its thing. Yes? So there's a little play button right here. Why not? Looks like something. Like growing. Like some Cinderella thing. I don't know. So pretty simple, huh? 15 minutes. Animating objects. Even I mean, me, Nick, and Shelby, we do not model in 3D Max, but we use it for animation. And there's just like no way Rhino can do something like this, and at the same time, Max is like a different sort of animal for modeling. And we just choose to sort of stick to our Rhino roots and then import things into this. So everyone hopefully can get to this point by hopefully pending software issues. So that's the most basic thing. And the next thing you need to learn is that Materials is epically better than Rhino because you have this experience with Rhino, and my students at least have experience with Maxwell. You know, there's always this plugin like V-Ray or Maxwell that you have to sort of like make your renderings acceptable. Yes, acceptable. And Maxwell has Mental Ray, and it's quite nice. And what's even better is it's quite fast. So that's another great reason to sort of do animations in this software, because something that would take Rhino like 3 days can be accomplished in a couple hours here. That might be an exaggeration, but no, I don't know. It's not. I've always done all my sort of renderings. If I'm in a pickle and I'm like, oh no, I have a review in 2 hours and I have no renderings, they all go to Max because they'll be done in 20 minutes and ready to print. On time, pinned up. So the material palette, the other shortcut that you need to know is M. You punch M and materials come up. So I've already changed this, but when you turn on your Max for the first time, it will pop up with this Slate material editor. This is the newer way that they've used. I find it more confusing and tend to use the compact material editor because I like these precious little material balls and they make sense to me. They have this Mental Ray Arc and Design, which is really handy. So what I usually do is I come down to these generic materials, click on one, and then you can go in here and select a template. And it's just like sort of the Maxwell gallery. It's like a little bit less options, but it's easier to adjust these materials. So you can get polished concrete. You can get anything. What's this guy? 13. Oh, yeah. So you can click on here. You can go and find way more. So this is sort of geared to architecture and design, and you should be able to find all the materials you need. Metallic red paint, which is going to take forever to render, but oh well, it's okay. So using these sort of tools, you can find any material that's already embedded into 3D Max instead of going through Maxwell or finding stuff on the web. So once you've picked your precious material, all you have to do is make sure, I'm just going to use the select. You just select your guy. It's selected, it's blue. And all you have to do is click on this assign material to selection. So you can imagine if you had all these objects here that were like really well organized and labeled stuff that was clear, you could go through and actually change the materials quite quickly. So you just assign materials to selection and boom, it's red. Nice. So now we know how to animate things. We know how to change the material. Yes, Kyle. Why? Do you like it? I don't use it. No. I've been doing Max since 2009 when this didn't exist. So I would have to watch a tutorial to find out how great it is. So maybe I will, because I'm sure I actually assigned that tutorial to you guys and I just haven't watched it yet. But either way, I'm sure it's the same technique. It's the same exact thing. Really? It's so funny because even the guy that taught me, he was like very into switching over into the modes. So yeah, I mean, I would switch AutoCAD to classic mode if they still allowed us to do so. So yes, I will just do this for now. And you guys can do whatever you want. Learn it both ways, whichever you prefer is fine by me. So materials. Next, super easy. Let's create a camera. I don't know how many of you have actually tried to create a camera outside of the saved views in Rhino, but it's kind of a pain. This is not a pain. So you go create cameras. I use a target camera. And there you go. There's camera. And you can click up here and go to camera 1. Camera 1. It's great. Thanks, camera 1. And you can move a little bit. I mean, I will probably instead just move my camera, but do you see? Sort of a clear connection, something that Rhino really doesn't do for you very well. So obviously you can also animate this camera. So if we turn the auto back on, move this down, and have the camera out here, and move this out, and then turn it back off, our view is going to change based on camera 1. It's not good. I kind of ruined it, but you see the point, yes? So that's how you do a camera. You know how to do materials, animate things, do cameras, and now let's render something. Render setup. So does anyone know what a TIFF sequence is? So a TIFF sequence is the 100 frames, and what they want, what that really means is that they're going to create a sequence of TIFFs that imitate the video at each keyframe. So for example, I think you can technically export an MOV from here. I think you can. It's either here or Maya. I haven't done it in a while because it's not ideal. So let's say, and this actually happens all the time, let's say for whatever reason there's a hiccup and like 3 of your keyframes are total crap for no good reason. With TIFF sequences, you can actually go in, 1, quickly use them as a rendering because it's already a TIFF. 2, re-render 3 frames instead of an entire movie. And then you can just import the TIFF sequence into After Effects and it's perfect and wonderful. So this is the pretty standard approach to taking these kinds of animations and putting them into After Effects. So what you want to do is export these as TIFF sequences. And that's basically the first thing you want to do. This render setup can be confusing. I vaguely remember it being something that took me quite a long time to get used to. But you basically need to work your way through everything on the Common tab. So you can drag it up. Do you see how long it is? And you just need to, like, the first time you're rendering something, be very aware of all the sort of options. Like, I'm going to show you some tricks, some rendering tricks, like getting that hidden line rendering effect that engages with these sort of tools. But what you basically need to know, oops, doing something, is if you don't, you want the common parameters. So we want the range, right? We need to export all of them. You can even, so here's like when you come in and you find out that frame 37, 500, 73, they're all ruined. You go in frame by frame and replace them. So that's where this comes in handy. The area to render, the view is fine. The output size, I'm going to do the smallest because this is a draft. Importantly, the render output, you have to set this up the first time you output anything. You click File and you go and you put it somewhere. This is my old one. Beautiful. And again, save as type, TIFF, totally beautiful. Whatever, I've never changed this, it's fine for me. This is all fine. And the only other thing you need to do up here is pick your camera. Clearly you can see rendering the top view might not be something you want to do. It goes based on the quads and camera 1's here, so awesome. I'm actually not sure if I wasn't clicked in on that quad to camera 1 if the other cameras would pop up, but there you go. This is how I do it. And then all you do is you click render. In like 1 minute. Awesome. And this is all you need to have. We'll practice. I mean, it's really basic. You import this into After Effects and it's just magically there. But we'll do that next class. But have like 100 frames to import, and then I'll show you some additional tricks. But if you just click on one and use preview, you can click on through and see what your animation is going to look like. Yay, a red teapot, exactly what I wanted. Boop. Okay, so everyone do that and make sure they can get somewhere with what I just presented. And then I will edit out all the stupidity from this Camtasia and upload it later. And if you guys are interested in creating an environment so that it's not black background, that's also a 2-click sort of setup. It will greatly increase your render times because you'll actually have real environments to contend with. But I'm just gonna fix my all you have to do is go into create, lights, daylight system, and okay, and it's gonna sort of marquee, because what it's asking you to do is create what we call, it's mental ray sky. We called it Mr. Sky. You just click once you've clicked the daylight saving or daylight system, and it will ask you if you want to create the MR Sky. I think this is similar, well, not as hideous, but similar to the SketchUp sky thing that happens. This helps it render atmospherically in a much better way, but again, if I'm in a pinch and I need to render something super quickly, I just, yes, turn this on. You're effectively putting in the sky. So in the side view, you just pull it up and there's the sun, I guess. I never have really worried about it. I just wanted light and I made light. There are clearly different ways to do that, and we can go over them if they're important to you, but so I'm just starting to render, but you can see ugly mental ray environment. It looks okay in architecture because it's not as obvious, but you can see the similarities for ugliness. Yes? Yes.